rundown on what inverted mode entails?
Yes, as they're making their opening moves here, Inverted starts Link off in the Dark World, replacing Link's house with the bomb shop location. Looks like we're already getting a map check here. We have a red crystal on Pod, and red pendant on Thieves Town, blue pendant on Skullwoods. So anyway, both these runners here got 3 bombs in the Link's house chest, and as such, they're going straight for Hype Cave. So with 2 shield upgrades, that's nothing to write home about there. But that does give us a little bit of a breather from the excitement to talk a bit about inverted mode. So as we can see, with starting in the Dark World, you have a lot less defensive options early on, making some of these walks a little bit scary. But there are also a number of other changes made. When the mirror is eventually found, the mirror will be used to go from the Light World to the Dark World. And the portals that you would normally find in the Light World now have equivalent spots with equivalent requirements in the Dark World. Oh, and it looks like we found the booth on Stumpy on KillerApp's side, so this seed could end up getting pretty fast very quickly.
That is something you always want to find as early as possible. Boost does unlock a couple different locations. It unlocks the torch in Desert Palace. We got Bonk Rocks. And basically it just lets you go fast. And we'll see Mclagging did a save and quit, and he starts at the Dark Sanctuary up there with the Octopus Dude. KillerApp, on the meanwhile, is taking on Octopus Dudes in the bow and arrow game to gain some rupees for the digging game.
There is actually a setup the way KillerApp was standing, where if firing with just the right timing, you'll hit those targets every time without fail. Unfortunately, KillerApp's timing was just a little off that time and wasn't able to farm the money successfully. So I have to say that I like this play from Mclagging, trying to get this room done. This room is really scary to get with 3 hearts and no major defensive items, and Mclagging is just doing an excellent job of it. That seems to have paid off. Mclagging finding the flippers back there and taking a death warp. That was a really good choice.
KillerApp finding the lamp down in the chess guessing game. Good thing about inverted mode is if you do need a death warp, it is very easy to do so. You got 3 hearts and green mail going into Skull Woods. There are some enemies there that can just finish you off in one hit.
Also noted in the C-shaped house, KillerApp seems to have found 300 rupees, which definitely has to make finding having those little difficulties with the archery game. That has to feel less bad now. Meanwhile, has also found the blue mail in the bombable hut, and now seems to have picked up a couple extra bombs.
Mclagging missing a couple bomb jumps there and taking a death. At this point, I feel like they might as well just go ahead and go the back way, but they're going to try it out one more time here. And he gets it.
So with these early finds of lamp flippers, boots, I'm thinking an early pod play could be worth checking out for these runners, especially with the digging game coming up short there.
Yeah, absolutely. Pod does have 5 items now. A couple of them may be bow locked, or will be bow locked, but Pod's a veritable treasure trove here of items for our racers today.
Yeah, with no potions so far, and therefore no potion glitch available at the moment, I would say I would expect at least one of the runners to take a dip into Thieves Town first. At least get the first 4 chests, see if they can get something to make it a little safer. But we'll see what actually happens here. Killer App is coming up towards Skullwoods and will probably be getting the flippers themselves soon. I'm seeing a question in chat asking what the icons mean. Going from left to right, the Ganon head refers to inverted mode with the Dark World star. Or, I'm sorry, no, that is incorrect. The Ganon head refers, of course, to the goal of defeating Ganon. In other words, all dungeons aren't necessarily necessary. The bunny is what tells us it's inverted mode. The question mark sword shape means the swords are randomized, and the N is for normal difficulty.
Yeah, this is about as regular as an inverted match as you're going to get. Mclagging picking up his blue mail. Getting those mail upgrades early is going to come in pretty handy for inverted. Both of our racers still only on 3 hearts, though. Dark World can be scary with low health.
Yeah, if I had to take a guess, this is going to be one of those inverted common situations where there are a few scary checks early on, but once they get their light world access, it'll probably give them a lot of safeties, and then it'll be a smooth ride from there. That tends to happen a lot in inverted. It seems that inverted front loads much of the difficulty.
Yeah, we're going to see some other changes to the world as we go forward. Things like there will be a ramp taking you up to the Bombos tablet. You'll be able to get on Spectacle Rock from the backside. But we'll come to those as we come across them.
Yeah, there are also a number of items that their value is somewhat adjusted just due to the way inverted mode functions. For example, Mire is a crystal in this run, and yet the flute is not necessarily all that important because in order to get into the Mire area in inverted mode, you simply need to have the mirror and light world access. Walk over to desert, and then you can access the Mire area just by using the mirror. No flute needed. And it seems like Mclagging is making the play deeper into Thieves Town here, having picked up the Bombos medallion alone in the front half.
Killer App finding out that you can't go down to Pod and Pyramid from the north without hammer or gloves. He is going to be able to loop around through Dark Lake Helia and go up the water stairs from there.
Mclagging getting through the conveyor room with no problems. With 3 hearts, that can be very scary, even with blue mail, and just gets through it expertly.
Unfortunately, gets a fake hint. That hint works for Zelda 1, does not work for Zelda 3.
So after this, if there isn't a glove up here, Catfish won't be on the table, so Killer App will likely be heading straight for Pod, and whether or not that ends up being bow-locked, that could be meaningful very quickly. But it pretty much has to have something unless this next chest in Thieves Town does. At least I think so.
Which you got a much better option at Pod at this point. Mclagging only really has one other chest they can check here in Thieves Town. They can't kill blind, as it is, and they can't access the big key chest, or the big chest. My apologies. They can only check see what is in the back here by the maiden.
You can see KillerApp has definitely practiced knowing how these enemies cycle their patterns, because you definitely don't want to get hit and lose any of that Kiki money.
Not only that, he would almost be dead from at least one hit. I believe the little Tangela-looking dudes will do 2 hearts of damage to him. Well, no, he's at blue mail, so do 1 heart.
With blue mail, that would be 1 heart, but still, definitely don't want to be walking around with 1 heart on the Dark World overworld.
So we are not bow locked.
And meanwhile, it seems Mclagging is going to go ahead and turn in blind so that the fight will be active when they return later, which I think that's a nice move. You can't really do the sword script anyway, so you might as well just activate the fight and leave. I'm seeing asked in the chat, can bombs hurt blind? The answer to that is no. You can use swords, which they don't have any yet. Hammer, Cane of Samaria, but the Cane of Brian. But you can't use bombs, you can't use the rods. Those are no-goes.
You can see KillerApp also knows where to pick up his bomb drops to guaranteed bomb locations, 50-50 bomb locations. He ended up picking up one in Dark Kakariko. That's good knowledge to have, especially in an inverted mode. It could really come in handy.
Much more so in inverted mode. By the time you reach the Dark World in a normal run, open mode, standard mode, chances are you're pretty much set on bombs. But here, you're starting the game there, and knowing as many spots where you can go grab one is very important.
And especially still at the point where, aside from actually using bombs, we can't really kill enemies at this point. You don't want to waste a bomb just to kill an enemy hoping you get a bomb drop. So Mclagging with that bomb post is making the Ice Palace play, it looks like. Ice Palace does straight up open up. You're able to access that as long as you have flippers.
That is a very bold play. But unfortunately it won't work right now because this isn't swordless mode and you need a sword to use a medallion.
Ooh, that was very close for Mclagging to make it past that little jumpy dude.
Mclagging stopping off to get a little bit of an extra health boost from the fairy, and also getting treated to a bun.
And there's your progression right there. Power Gloves in the bottom chest of the Pod Dark Maze.
So that changes things up a bit. Now it's possible to reach the mountain, and if we don't see something in Super Bunny Cave or at the Old Man Turn-In, this could end up very well just being maybe find a sword and go straight to Aga 1. And Mclagging seems to be following suit, so they'll be getting their gloves soon. Good point in chat, suggesting that if a sword is found, an Ice Palace dive could absolutely be the play here.
Ooh, this is bad for KillerApp.
KillerApp making the smart decision to go off screen and respawn the sign. Meanwhile, Mclagging getting over to the palace with no other enemies causing grief.
KillerApp taking an unfortunate death. Granted, you can just start back at the sanctuary, but that's still time lost, time wasted.
Yeah, that's relatively an understandable and not too bad feeling place to die, but it still always feels bad to die in a race.
Having boots this early without a sword is still a bit of a hindrance. Normally, you have that sword and you can just stick your sword out and run through a lot of enemies. You don't have that option here now. You have to play a little bit more carefully when you're dashing.
Second attempt goes smoothly though, so won't be long before we find out what the old man has in store.
So we're seeing one of the other changes in inverted mode. Death Mountain having probably the highest changes per square foot of the game. We got the old man is reachable in the dark world, and we're going to be able to open up right down here as well.
Yep, and walking up here in the usual spot where there's a portal from light to dark, the portal will exist to do the reverse, and even though they don't have the moon pearl, it will be possible to jump down and turn in the old man. And in fact, the old man can have the moon pearl, and you get progression that way.
Yeah, inverted mode does a lot of really cool things that really make this game seem even fresher than the first time that you came across Randomizer in general.
Yeah, inverted mode, definitely interesting. If, say, we find the Cane of Samaria soon, that Bombos could be required to enter Turtle Rock and check the first chest. Inverted mode can have a lot of strange things happen.
That is a absolutely terrifying bunny sprite.
I'm trying to tell what it is. Looks to me just a little bit like a robot Pikachu. So this is another one of those V30 meta changes, as you see a lot of runners just blind jump to Spectacle Rock without checking the item, which pays off this time with it being the hammer. But even if it wasn't an important item, still a pretty good play because you can get that hint. We know that a unique item is in the purple chest today.
What a hint that is. And Mclagging pulling off the hammer jump over on the left side, going to be able to get those mitts a little bit faster. Yeah, that
was a really clean... Sorry.
End of the Smith's chain. The thief down in the desert going to be able to have at least something that we might want. It could be the single arrow, but it could be anything. It could be Cane of Samaria. It could be hookshot. It could be a mushroom. It could be powder. We don't know what that could be, but we know that our racers are most likely going to try to finish that up.
Going for the first chest in Hookshot Cave. Oh, and there it is, the Moon Pearl. So
it's a pretty good place to get that.
Yes, that's definitely very convenient. And checking the TR medallion, Quake. Now, with Light World access available, there's a fairly good chance that if they do have to visit TR, which they will because it's a crystal, once Mirror is found, they can potentially skip the medallion requirement entirely, just due to the way inverted mode works. Because on the light side of Death Mountain, there's been a modification to the ledges so that one can jump down and check Mimic Cave.
And nearly 20 minutes in, we have hit 4 hearts for KillerApp.
That has to be a relief. And Mclagging, not Mclagging behind too much. Going to be getting that hammer fairly soon, and probably the Moon Pearl as a quick follow-up.
KillerApp, however, is going to be taking us to our first foray into the light world, showing us that a red crystal is at Eastern and a blue crystal is up at Tower of Hera.
And by process of elimination, that would mean Desert is the green pendant. Now, I have to say I'm just a little bit surprised by this play by KillerApp. Kakariko's a great check by density, but I'd be a bit tempted to go straight for South Shore. But with 4 hearts and only a hammer, I can understand not wanting to deal with the mini Moldorms yet.
Yeah, the crabs are fun. We'll see a couple more changes here. We'll be able to access the South of Grove. Looks like KillerApp forgot about that for a brief moment. That shows you how new inverted mode is. KillerApp's a great player and a great racer, and even he's still missing little small things like that.
And just a red rupee on the race game, so nothing to see there. Meanwhile, Mclagging finally about to get that hammer. Now this is another interesting change because of the way save and quits work here. There's not going to be a chance to save and quit the Sanctuary, so coming from the south to do Kakariko is really nice routing-wise, because that can be followed up with Lost Woods, and then Bonk Rock, Sanctuary, and even the Graveyard Ledge, because you no longer need Mirror to reach that.
KillerApp just finding some bombs in the back of Chicken House. I know that you are just as disappointed as I am that he did not free that chicken in that pot, but we are going to be on our way up to the bottle vendor.
Well, I can understand. Sometimes any chicken needs privacy, right? I like the use of the bomb by Mclagging to get past the Lilas, but unfortunately, got pursued a little too hard.
I remember when Inverted first got put out, there were tutorials on how to do a 3-heart Lionel bridge, and it's definitely something to practice. Kakariko, however, not really turning much up for KillerApp at the moment. There's Magic Powder. That's going to be another check that KillerApp can pull off. And the shovel.
That's sort of a convenient spot for those items to come up. Wouldn't be too out of the way to just go ahead and get them both. Maybe the shovel you can put off for a bit.
And we are going to at least see the Magic Bat check here from KillerApp.
Oh, Mclagging accidentally picks up the pot. It's gonna have to reset the room.
He was having a little bit of trouble there with that Blue Bari. Without any kind of weapon to get him out of the way, he had to just wait till he floated on over.
That was a nice try at that hover. I thought Mclagging was gonna make it. For anyone who hasn't seen the hover trick before, it's a way that you can sort of take advantage of. I'm going to cut myself off there just to note that the hookshot's been found in the Lost Woods. That is a really nice find.
You don't need that hover if you got that hook shot.
That's the truth. To explain it, it is a trick where through releasing and repressing the A button very quickly in a very tight window, one can cross over pits just using the boots. It's fairly difficult to do, so whenever you see a runner pull it off, it is usually very impressive.
It's essentially pulling off a frame-perfect trick multiple times in a row. And did I miss KillerApp getting the hideout, the thieves thing that Mclagging's about to pick up? It's just an arrow, so he didn't miss out on much, but I didn't see him make it his way down there.
And just a heart and sanctuary. I don't think that was the sync heart though.
I feel like it's a wasted heart whenever somebody picks up a full heart container and they already have full health. We'll never know.
So on the subject of inverted changes, right now it isn't possible due to lack of mitts to check the King's Tomb. In more normal runs, it would be possible to use the mirror to circumvent the need for the mitts, but in this run, that's typically the only spot that strictly requires the mitts.
There's Ether. We don't know if we need that quite yet. Misery Mire could require it. We got KillerApp with Ether and Mclagging with Bombos. We know that T-Rock requires Quake.
Since it seems at the moment that there's a little bit of disparity in medallions, that won't last for long. It almost seems likely that it'll be Ether, just for convenience.
And Dark Crossroom having nothing but a map for KillerApp, and KillerApp saves and quits. And is going to start back at the Dark World, where the Bomb Shop normally would be, but it is Link's house here in Inverted. So with that hammer and hookshot, they're going to make their way down to South Shore. Good time to do that. Hookshot will take out the mini mold worms and mini mold worm cave pretty easily. We got, probably around 9 items that he can access. If you count Hobo, and then we can go up to Zora and get 4 more.
Yeah, there's definitely plenty on offer here. And right now, with just this lack of really good weapon options, I can see both runners wanting to postpone dungeon diving any further, especially in the case of Thieves Town, which, with the hammer, you could go finish it, but it is a pendant, so that might not be rewarding.
And Mclagging taking an intentional death there, and he's probably going to be making the same play KillerApp is going to play. Ooh. Instead, still comes out right there. That does count as a dungeon death, so you don't get to do a save and quit spot.
And with these checks coming out from South Shore, we will be seeing another one of the more minor but still significant changes. And I believe that was the ice rod found. But the change I'm talking, well, every time I'm trying to say something, a nice item comes out. Flute for KillerApp, sorry. Now that is not as important in a normal mode run, but with this being inverted, it's not required, but it could be convenient. Now you can flute around the Dark World, get places more quickly.
Yeah, flutes in inverted is a lot like half magic. It's not something you necessarily need, but it is something that you won't turn your nose up at.
Another use for the flute is with ice palace being a crystal and just being able to flute over there. There's mirror, wow. Very profitable South Shore checks today. And scratch what I was about to say, because KillerApp is going to be using the mirror right away to check this hint, which you can also get there kind of not too out of the way by fluting here. But with mirror being right there, just go ahead and check it now.
Get a unique item is held by someone friendly. I know that the old man didn't give us anything, and I don't believe the thief in Mini Moldrum Cave gave us anything. So that points to Bottle Kid. Or no, Stumpy gave us something, didn't he?
I'm feeling I'm not remembering that one specifically. Oh, that was the boots. That's right.
KillerApp showing us the water walk glitch. If you have the boots and you're coming out of Ice Rod Cave, this is a really handy glitch to learn. But if you have the flippers and you head into shallow water, you will start swimming again once you head back into deep.
Now you'll notice that was another one of the inverted mode changes there. The island, since you could not use the mirror to get there, just has a nice little ladder that you can walk up. But with just being a piece of heart, KillerApp's not going to bother.
And 300 rupees from the hobo. Don't know why he is living under a bridge with that much. He must be the escaped convict in this version.
Maybe it's a situation where Hobo was waiting for Zora to open up shop for the day, put down a 200 rupee pre-order, and was going to pay off the other 300.
KillerApp making good use of that mirroring over to the Dark World to check out Catfish. We're checking out the 4 items in the Light World up at this side.
And a heart container, not necessarily too helpful, but a full heart, who can complain, right?
And nothing but 2 red rupees in the Waterfall of Wishing. Mclagging going to go up and check out the shovel spot that KillerApp hasn't checked out yet.
That could be interesting.
And it is. It's a bottle.
Mclagging not heading back to the village. Don't blame him. So it may be a while before we see what that actually pans out to be. With regards to the sick kid check, that is. And KillerApp now looks like to be making the swamp play, which I think that is a good choice. It could be icky to have to fight Argus with just the hammer, but it is a crystal dungeon. Get it out of the way, I say. I like this.
You got a hint in there, and it's 6 items.
Oh, well, I'm wrong. Killer App heading off to do the front of escape, it looks like, and the uncle checks.
Still no sword, so you're not going to be able to just breeze by those guards.
Yeah, but with the hammer doing tempered sword damage, I think this is still going to be a pretty smooth ride. So Checkerboard Cave having nothing of value. Mclagging also making a move to check over on the ledge. Just 10 arrows. Nothing too exciting, unfortunately.
And you'll see that he checked Gina before checking the Checkerboard Cave. And he's going to be still moving around a little bit here in the light world. Normally you can check Checkerboard and then go to Kina and save and quit, save a little bit of time. But Mclagging is going to be making their South Shore checks at this point.
So we could potentially be seeing some divergence here soon, with the mirror being where it is, as long as Mclagging doesn't decide to skip Ice Rock Cave. But I don't think that's likely.
But with that mirror, there is the elephant in the room that we may be needing to head back up into T-Rock at this point.
Yeah, a fair amount of T-Rock can be visited. Laser Bridge can get all the chests there. Mimic Caves on the table, as well as the center of the middle portion of the dungeon. Oh, finally a sword for Killer App on the right side there. So with a 37-minute sword, certainly have seen a lot worse, but with all that Dark World work done, definitely needed to show up sooner or later.
So Killer App is planning on doing a Death Warp at this point. We'll place a bomb. Oh, getting a Master Sword. So that is a pretty good dive there by Killer App.
Yeah, this play paid off big time. Swamp probably feels a lot better now. Not entirely sure why the choice for the Death Warp with the mirror there, but it can be easy sometimes to forget you have an option available.
And here's a screen that you hardly ever see in Indo. This little forest just to the west of the castle. You rarely see people take that trip, and Killer App makes it and is heading over into CAC.
So with that, it looks like it'll be time for a flute activation, which is going to make traversing the Dark World much more convenient. So we're getting to the point where, with Killer App having found those 2 swords, there are a number of choices on the table. It shouldn't be too scary to go finish Thieves' Town, if that's a pendant. Swamp is full clearable, and it's also possible to check out the mire area. But with that unique item hint about the purple chest, looks like Killer App's prioritizing that questline first, which I like it. It makes a lot of sense. Get it done now.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong on this, because I haven't done a lot of inverted mode myself, but the smith and the chest will not persist through a save and quit anymore, correct?
I'm not entirely 100% on that myself. Oh, Fire Rod on the Smith, though. So this play can end up paying off twofold, depending on what that unique item on the purple chest will be.
I mean, we still got a lot of unique items on the table. We got everything from the single arrow and the bug net, all the way up to the bow, the red cane, book.
We're potentially getting fairly close to go mode, though, depending on what that Meyer medallion ends up being. Because we need bow and red cane, but the rest, that's not necessarily important. Now, it is notable that even though Quake is the TR medallion, just due to the way inverted mode works with being able to enter with mirror whenever you like, chances are that isn't going to come up at all.
Mclagging going to make some Death Mountain plays here. And KillerApp is going to go ahead and check out the shovel spot. For anybody who is watching this who has not gotten into these randomizers themselves, you can just go to ALTTPR.com and access that. There are a lot of really cool tutorials on how to get access to the site, the randomizer, how to play. Definitely check it out. There's a link to the Discord. Great community there. Don't think you'll have any problems with anybody unless you're just absolutely rude. And not in the ska way, but in the mean way. Mclagging picking up the book in East Death Mountain.
This is a more subtle change that might not come up in this run with Desert being a pendant, but whereas in more normal play, you could flute to Mire and then pick up the rock and then mirror to sneak into the back half of Desert. You can't do that here. If you ever had to go to Desert Palace in inverted mode, just due to the mirror function change, you have to use the Book of Medora.
Yep, and checked out the inside of that purple lunchbox, and it is just the can of Burna. That can come in handy. There's times where you may need that. It does lag the game a little bit, so you want to use the cape most of the time if you need invisibility, but a lot of times just pushing through will be as much all you need. And there's that Quake medallion on the on where you normally mirror out to from Hookshot Cave, and KillerApp is making their way down into Swamp Palace while Mclagging makes their way over to Tower of Hera.
Yeah, and these are sensible plays by both runners, especially with no sword. I kind of like Mclagging preferring the Tower of Hera play here, because Moldorm's still going to go real fast with just the hammer.
I mean, let's not get ahead of ourselves. This is still Moldorm here. It could be just one of those times where he does not want to play nice.
Yeah, Moldorm is sometimes rude to even the very best of runners, so it can be an issue, but with the hammer at least goes down in 3 hits, no chance of enraging.
And there we get another fake hint extolling the virtues of the full English breakfast. Just can't get along with that. Mclagging, however, happy to see that the big key is not Firelock down here. He does have a lamp, so he could access the Firelock part of the dungeon, but really doesn't want to have to. So there's a good hint for me, knowing that 2 pieces of heart are in the Pyramid Fairy. No need to complete that chain at this point. Or any point.
For whoever was asking in chat, the blacksmith actually had the fire rod today, so it could be a bit before Mclagging finds that. But with the purple chest in, probably not too long.
Mclagging takes down Moldorm. I got a little hairy there for a second, but he gets a map out of his trouble. I know that we saw a blue rupee down there earlier. I do not know if that was our only item we found, and that is our first crystal at 45 minutes and 26 seconds in.
The other item in here was a full heart container in the big chest. The small key is self-locking.
Cool.
Yeah, I always love when that small key is self-locking, because then you don't have to decide. Just leave it behind.
KillerApp showing us everybody's favorite location, the left side of Swamp Palace. And may come in handy. We get a big key out of there. Nothing else but the map on the other side.
Meanwhile, getting a full hookshot cave check here.
Not much of use else in there. That bottle may come in handy at some point. But that is 2 for Mclagging. And getting the mirror shield in the big chest of Swamp Palace.
With the mirror shield there, I feel like that might serve as a little bit of an indicator to maybe go check Laser Bridge.
Yeah, both of these racers are no slouches. They can probably get through that laser bridge without any kind of invincibility items, using boot skips, but having Can of Brian, Cane of, or Cape, or Mirror Shield just makes it a little bit easier.
And it looks like Mclagging is going to be doing the laser bridge checks right now. Just jump down to that ledge, mirror, and he's walking right in.
Yeah, these kind of checks are where inverted mode gets really fun. Finds Uncle Bombs in the first chest.
Oh, nothing on laser bridge of value at all. So, what I'm seeing, it looks like Mclagging's probably going to climb back up to the top, jump down, maybe check Mimic Cave, and head back into the center section of Turtle Rock. Meanwhile, KillerApp finishing up this Argus fight very cleanly, just getting those spin slashes off with Master Sword. Just a green rupee for the effort, but that's a crystal. So both runners 1-1 for crystals at the moment.
Mclagging picking up a fairy there from those bunk rocks. Take out Mimic Cave here for just a brief moment.
KillerApp showing that with the flute, it's not too much trouble. Oh, that was the Quake Medallion, so that does come into play here.
Yeah, Quake on both dungeons that require it, and KillerApp getting a Tempered Sword out of the Mire Shed.
KillerApp just finding all the swords this time. Meanwhile, Mclagging has to probably be wondering at this point, is this a swordless seed? Did I misread this?
Getting all 4 of those anti-fairies with a single powder is really easy, which just feels very satisfying to do so.
Seeing Mclagging here having to employ all sorts of alternative fighting strategies to get that pokey down. KillerApp is not going to be having those same troubles thanks to that Tempered Sword and Fire Rod.
Yeah, Tempered Sword is really that sweet spot that you want to hit. The difference between Fire Sword and Master Sword is big. The difference between Master Sword and Tempered Sword is big. The difference between Tempered and Gold is not as big as you would expect. It does feel very, very good to get a Gold Sword. It's got one of the best sound effects in the game when you slash it. It just feels good. I see Mclagging getting the big key out of the chain shop room, mirroring directly back to the big key chest and getting a small key for his troubles.
And looks like Mclagging will be heading up towards the roller room before the dark ride room, and we'll see one more chest for the moment.
That chain shop room can be extremely dangerous in inverted mode. You may be expected to go there very, very early into the game.
And yes, I've seen races where runners have been sent into that room with 3 hearts even. It's just very scary. Fortunately for the 2 on right now, that did not happen today. They'll be going in with a lot more safety. KillerApp going in with the Fire Rod, that could be a bit of a major difference, since they'll be able to go back to the very beginning of the dungeon and do all the checks. Oh, wait, no Kane Samario. What am I thinking?
Unfortunately, you can't hover and shoot that fire rod at the same time. But we are still missing Mitts at this point. We need Mitts and the bow and the red cane, and we are good to go.
I don't even think we're going to need the mitts, because they're not really locking anywhere but the King's Tomb.
That is true, yeah. Inverted mode. Oh, and Mclagging giving us a pedestal check. What do we have here behind all 3 pendants?
Unfortunately, just some couch cash. This is why you gotta just blind pull the pedestal. That way you don't spoil the mystery for yourself. Talking in chat, it seems there's been some coverage of the possibility that someone could hover the torch room in Turtle Rock. And that is theoretically possible with very good positioning, timing, and use of the lamp. But it is nearly impossible. Not impossible, but I will be shocked if I ever see it happen in a live race.
Of course, it's Zero Rush that has done it.
So that sick kid check, did finally get to see that. Just 50 rupees though. So Mclagging about to find that fire rod. That's going to open up little bit, Skullwoods will be full clearable, and Ice Palace will feel... it was already an option, but now it's going to feel a lot better. Just having that safety, can go into the cold stair fight and just rush him down.
KillerApp gets the bumper dash. That will scare me to death every time that I try it, and I will never make it.
Yeah, that bumper dash, it's just a small time save, but when you get it, it feels good, and I feel like when you do it, Moldorm just stays out of the way and doesn't cause a problem. Maybe a little superstitious, though. And yeah, it has been pointed out that with Mclagging still swordless, the Fire Rod just now put Ice Palace into play for them. So it's going to be interesting to see how long this continues before finally something gives and poor Mclagging gets a sword.
We know there's one in Misery Mire Cave and two in the back of Escape, one after another. Mclagging, you've already checked this, I think.
Now, KillerApp there, mirroring in front of the entrance to Spiral Cave. That was some nice execution, just going into that cave with the lasers. They shoot at you right away, but if you're prepared, then you're not going to have a problem. Seems like Mclagging is going to go ahead and make the swamp play. That's going to mean a slower Argus because we know there aren't going to be swords in there.
I hope you all like to watch menus. So even with a good bit of hearts and blue mail, you can see how careful KillerApp's being in that chain chomp rim.
Yeah, that isn't even just caution, it's really wisdom. Don't want to take a death there, especially with it being inverted. You would lose a lot more time having to go back into that room if progression's in there. So both runners having fairly efficient total rock routing here. This is going quite nicely, especially for KillerApp. Taking a mirror bond there, but that's not too big a deal. And just getting all these checks one after the other, not going to have to make an extra trip up the mountain.
Yeah, and just with the way that inverted works, depending on what items you have, routing Turtle Rock can be completely different. You can't, it's not just a, well, yeah, I have the medallion, and you go in there and you just follow the rooms. You can access these rooms in almost any order at this point. Mclagging is going to go ahead and skip the left side of Swamp. that will pay off for him if he doesn't go back. We've got a question from chat. Can the bow be at the Pyramid Fairy? No, we know from a hint that the Pyramid Fairy only has a piece of heart and a piece of heart. Even with that mirror shield, KillerApp is still doing dash drafts to dodge those lasers.
Might as well if you know how to do it. It always looks good when you can show that off. KillerApp having a real smooth execution of that.
That is a really neat trick to practice, which there is a great practice ROM out there you can get that lets you warp to basically anywhere with any items. Shows you exactly how many frames and seconds you're taking in each of those rooms, too.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of useful tools and tutorials that can be found for those of you wanting to step up your own game or get involved with this sort of thing. So Mclagging giving us the menu boss hype at the moment.
KillerApp, however, is going to be showing us the inside of Ice Palace. Second time we've seen this, but the first time we've been able to make it past this first room.
So not checking that hint ended up not being a problem for Mclagging, since Ether just sort of fell into the natural progression of the route. Very smooth execution of that penguin room. So Mclagging using the fire rod to skip a couple Argus cycles, and does show that those hammer hitboxes on Argus can be a little picky at the end, but still gets a very nice fight there.
And KillerApp showing you my favorite room in the game, the double Stalfos room. That is a very easy trick to pull off, but it just looks really cool every time you do it.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for that trick because it just feels nice. And speaking of nice tricks, we're about to see a nice Palace bomb jump as well.
Maybe. That should be a good setup. Yep, and KillerApp nails it on the second try there.
Yep, walking onto that last pixel to get the horizontal position can be a little tricky, so that fall was understandable, but no issues setting up the second part, which I think is harder, so that shows a lot of skill on KillerApp's end. Meanwhile, it looks like Mclagging did make the decision to go back in and finish left side swamp. Understandable, because it pretty much is a hunt for progression now.
Yeah, we haven't brought it up, but KillerApp is playing as the soda can sprite. On green mail, it is a can of Sprite. On blue mail, it is a can of Pepsi. And on red mail, it is a can of Coca-Cola. Normally, if you're playing as Link, it's pretty easy to use visual cues to figure out where your horizontal on that bomb jump is. When you're playing as different sprites, you have to follow different visual cues, and that shows how good KillerApp is at this game.
Yes, definitely. The sword difference is certainly costing Mclagging a bit of time here, but Mclagging has also been playing extremely well given the circumstances. So this is a fairly close race, even with that difference.
Good firebar room in Ice Palace by KillerApp. And a good place to find the big key as well. And there is half magic. What a great little utility item.
Yeah, if you're gonna find half magic, Ice Palace is one of the best places for it to go ahead and show up.
No, literally right before Cold Stare too.
Yeah, not only the half magic properties itself, but the free refill. You gotta love that.
Many a race has been lost by not having enough magic when you get to Cold Stare. And that's just me.
Beautiful Cold Stare fight, just so fast.
Got a question from the chat. Can an item be an appended dungeon if it's necessary to complete the seed? Absolutely. These items can be pretty much anywhere. The only place an item cannot be is locked behind something that requires that item. So you can't have boots in Bankrocks. If you have bow in Bankrocks, you can't have boots behind anything that locks the bow or the bow is unlocking. So if you're interested in Link to the Past Randomizer, again, go to ALTTPR.com and all your instructions to get into it will be right there.
Now, I do have to say, I have times, and I'm sure a lot of these runners do as well, of just wishing that they couldn't be in pendant dungeons. But unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
Yep, you never want to go into a pendant dungeon unless you have to. There are very, very few exceptions to that I will make in a race. If Hera or Thieves Town is a green pendant, I will pretty much full clear that every time.
And right now, it looks like we're about to see a desert dive or a mire dive. Both of those could potentially be time costing. But first, a Bombos tablet check. And with that just being a heart, it looks like that's not going to change KillerApp's course at all. So after these next few checks, it'll probably be time for a desert play. Mclagging finally getting swords. An hour and 8 minutes until Mclagging finds a sword. Has to be wondering what's going on here.
It'll be about an hour and 9 when he finds his Master Sword, I hope.
It seems like KillerApp is preferring desert over mire, which I like this because they do have the same item density, but desert is quicker, it's less painful, and more importantly, you need the Cane of Samaria to finish mire, and if the Cane of Samaria isn't in mire, then you end up committing to a double dip that might not even be necessary.
And Mclagging is going to go show us the Susser Moxa's closet. First time we've actually seen that this race.
Yeah, this could be a change in the tide here.
Oh, and there's the mitts. That and silver arrows on KillerApp side. So 2 decent items back to back on both of our racers.
So the mitts, quite possibly not necessary. Though if we find something in King's Tomb, that could be a big deal.
Oh, and there is a great hint for KillerApp. Both your Mire items are going to be fire locked in Misery Mire. It's just a bottle and a piece of heart, so he knows that there's no need to go in there until you're in go mode.
Yeah, so it is very fortunate for KillerApp not choosing to go into Mire before Desert, because that information just saved a ton of time.
Like, it is, like, saving a ton of time almost just underestimates how much time that actually saves. As soon as KillerApp finds that big key, and he can just go directly to Vitreous.
Now, noting commentary, Chad is saying that maybe just go ahead and finish Mire now after Desert, but without the Cane of Samaria, that's not happening. However, that does mean that KillerApp won't be wasting time going in there looking for the Cane of Samaria, or even something like the bow to maybe find the Cane of Samaria on Armos Nights. Don't have to worry about it. Just go ahead and finish out the Desert Palace, turn in that green pendant, and get checking elsewhere.
I'm not exaggerating when I say that might be one of the best overall hints that I've seen in a race.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the better ones I've seen. That's for sure. Oh, that last land mole is not cooperating for the 1 cycle, but it's going to be a 2 cycle. Very nice.
Mclagging putting on a clinic on how to do that Ice Palace Bob jump. The trick is, when you're setting up your horizontal, when you come through that door, do not push down at all. Just push left, and that gives you the perfect vertical location for the bomb.
Mclagging also showed a very nice bomb strat for the Pengators. Just setting 2 bombs, bonking over them, and that takes them all out without any additional effort.
KillerApp may have a little bit of a lead here at this point, but that does not mean Mclagging is not giving him a run for his money.
Yes, there's quite a bit that could still happen, depending on where things actually end up being, and just definitely too soon to call it. Overall, I'd say KillerApp has a little bit of advantage just because of finding those swords earlier. There were things that KillerApp got to do that cost a lot of time that when Mclagging did them in comparison, even things like the hammer pegs, since you can't item dash unless you have a sword. Or you can item dash in a general sense, but you can't do it to clear pegs like that.
So with getting a piece of heart off of that, off of the sauce pendant, Desert, aside from the hint, seems to be a bust for KillerApp. That is a way that Mclagging can make up quite a bit of time. KillerApp heading into Eastern Palace at the moment.
With everything that we've seen, I'm fairly confident that one of the remaining big items might just have to be here. Unless I don't think we've seen Catfish or King's Tomb. Could be there as well.
We have seen Catfish.
Oh, we have seen Catfish. Oh yeah, you're right. There was that mirror. That slipped my mind for a second.
The big items. Killer App gets the single arrow from the first chest in Eastern.
Now here's a possible scenario. It ends up not being here, or even King's Tomb, but killing blind yields the bow. If you're either of these runners and eventually get to that point, how behind do you feel?
Oh, you feel like you've lost the game. I mean, there's also the big chest in Thieves Town. Neither racer had the hammer when they went to complete that, and yeah, if there's a big item in one of those two locations, the minute you find that, you think that you've lost the game. Yeah. And with two items out in Eastern, it is looking increasingly unlikely that there is going to be an item here. KillerApp gives the hint.
So with that, if it's not here, we're looking at either King's Tomb, the remaining Thieves Town checks, or Skullwood's. I am not sure if we've seen both Skullwood's items. I know the flippers were there. That was a really nice cold stare fight from Mclagging as well. So where Mclagging goes next could really decide how much of an edge KillerApp does or does not.
See if KillerApp grabs the hint this time through. Yep, and I guess a unique item is in the Sage's closet. KillerApp has not checked Sahasarella's closet yet, so he may be thinking, hey, there's something back there.
Mclagging about to finally get the Tempered Sword as well.
And nothing but 10 arrows in the big chest in Eastern Palace. So we are coming down to brass tacks here. Do we go to... Well, KillerApp can't go to... Oh yeah, you got the mitts. Does he go to check Bottle Kid? Does he go to the King's Tomb? He's got a lot of places he can check. Oh, yep, never mind. KillerApp did turn in the Sage's Closet stuff.
KillerApp's choice...
I'm sorry, I'm dumb.
KillerApp's choice here makes a lot of sense. Thieves Town hasn't even been opened by KillerApp, and at this point in the race has to be thinking, if it's in Thieves Town, I'm in big trouble because it's been there since the beginning of the run, so I'm just going to keep pressing on forward. And I like that call. That's a good attitude to have, I think. It tries to mirror out a habit to King's Tomb, and unfortunately that's not how it's going to work today.
Yeah, that's one of the things with inverted mode. When you've been playing a lot of standard Link to the Past or Link to the Past Randomizer, sometimes some of those habits just are stuck in you. And switching over to inverted mode, you may try to do some of those things that you normally do.
Oh yeah, muscle memory can be a real pain. That's an understatement of the century, I feel like. And unfortunately for Mclagging, did make the play into Mire. We know they're not going to find anything of value here. KillerApp following through on the King's Tomb dive, though.
Not a very wealthy king. I'm being buried with only 50 rupees. So is Thieves Town the actual play here?
It may well
yes.
Be. Does look to me at the moment like KillerApp's going for a pedestal check, though. Of course, we already know that's not going to be anything of value. Alright, time to forget we saw this already and get hyped for the pedestal check, but just couch cash again. Not even a payoff from the Meyer hit. That's unfortunate. So KillerApp going in and going to be finishing these Skull Woods checks, which means there must still be a live item here.
Yeah, that's another one of the neat things with inverted mode. You can smear directly into little area of Skull Woods that you need the fire rod for, and he gets a compass for his trouble to mirror out and see what Mocula drops for us.
And Mclagging nopes out of Meyer after hitting the point where can't make further progression, and is going to just be doing some more checks over here. Looks like a Bombos tablet check. Wonder if that will.
You did thankfully get the big key out of Meyer before he mirrored out.
Yeah, that much is important. So, not all is lost. Very quick Mocula fight, and there's the Cane of Samaria. So that puts a lot on the table, and now it's just a hunt for the bow.
Are you sure you didn't generate this seed, GTG, with the hunt for the bow?
It depends. If it's in TR, I'll have to ask some questions about that. Now, it does look like KillerApp's going to be going ahead and checking Trinex first. Meanwhile, Mclagging getting these desert checks done. Desert play can't feel too bad with those silvers, though. Not required progression, but always nice to have.
So again, if you have not seen an inverted mode before, you just saw GT open. That is not GT, that is Agate Tower. You can go into that to finish off Aghanim. Agate 1, mind you. That gives you access to Lumberjack Ledge, that kind of stuff that you would normally get. GT is actually going to be where Agate Tower normally is.
So it's looking like Mclagging going to just nope out here, not going to bother fighting Lawless, which makes sense, already knows for sure it's not a pedestal seed. So KillerApp going for Trinex first. I like this a lot. Since it's already a crystal, go ahead and get this done first. Because if Trinex happens to have the bow, which he certainly can, then you don't waste your time checking the rest. Kinghorn also making a good point in chat that after Trinex is down, there will be a teleport to the entrance, which means that the checks in the front will come a lot faster. That's a nice, very fast track. So KillerApp's
Yeah.
boss execution has been top notch this run.
Well, hold off on that if Trinex has the bow or not. KillerApp getting the mushroom. Mclagging is going to check the big chest here in Thieves Town, and he finds 10 arrows. They go with the bow, but they are not the bow. We're still looking for the bow. Bow.
So we're seeing these checks start to run really slim very quickly, with the blind about to be down on Mclagging's side. Just a piece of heart, that play not paying off for lagging, unfortunately.
KillerApp actually misses one of his fire rod shots, and it's going to have to restart here in just a moment. And what timing he has on that. He knew exactly that he would be able to hit that just as it burned out.
I'll be real, I didn't think that was going to work, so I'm impressed. Oh, and there it is. 1 hour and 26 minutes, 34 seconds. Go mode. So with this, KillerApp has all the items necessary to finish the game. We'll be able to just knock out Eastern Palace and Pod one after the other, go finish up Meyer, and get on to GT.
Yeah, KillerApp's already been through most of Eastern and Pod as it is. He just needs to get back there, finish off the bosses, go check out Meyer, and he will be on his way to the end of the game.
And one of the nice and convenient things about inverted mode is Aga 1 and GT are swapped, as was mentioned before. So, with Hyrule Castle being where you need to go, that's a trip up Death Mountain that won't be necessary in this run. And fortunately for Mclagging, they are on the right track, going to be going straight for Mothula, not even checking the chest under the bridge. We'll be getting the Cane of Samaria, and probably will follow that up with the Turtle Rock play. Wow, that was an incredibly fast Mothula fight. I think that was even a little faster than KillerApp's. That's amazing.
Yeah, Moth is one of those bosses that could be either the most trouble you'll have in a run, or it will go incredibly fast. I believe Lanxion had a sub 2 second Moth a couple days ago in one of his races, and it was just one of the craziest things to watch.
And Armos Knight's giving no trouble with those silver arrows on KillerApp's side, and with Mirror out, we'll be able to head right into Pod.
And Mclagging is making the T-Rock play himself.
Now this is interesting. Mclagging is heading in through the top first, so that does mean that they'll be getting the bow before fighting Trinex. Unfortunately, it will still be necessary to go ahead and follow through with the Trinex fight, since it is a crystal dungeon. So it won't really save that much time.
As we make our way forward, just want to remind everybody to follow both of these runners, Mclagging and KillerApp, on Twitch. Give them a follow. They put on a lot of good races for you all. And follow the Speed Gaming channels as well as ALTTPR Randomizer as well.
KillerApp seems to have forgotten a small key and had to mirror back to the start of the dungeon to head through the bowlock section, so that's going to be a little bit of time that Mclagging can gain back.
It's an interesting way to hammer lock that portal.
Yeah, you can tell when designing murder mode, they definitely got a little creative with some of that, but it makes it fun. So with Mclagging in go mode, not even going to have to think about what to do with this mushroom, just can ignore it. And KillerApp descends into the basement of Pod again, this time with a small key, and we'll be heading on to Helmasaur in just a few moments.
Very good Trinex fight by Mclagging. Trinex just making that last little corner turn before he starts making his curves. Just his mushroom, Mclagging will be directly on his way to Pawn and EP at this point.
Yeah, both of the runners here have just played a really solid game the whole time. In fact, while there is definitely a favorable situation for KillerApp here going into the end game, really it just comes down to who found the swords first, and Mclagging making that extra mire dive. Well, in case the run wasn't safe enough already at this point, KillerApp just got upgraded into a Coke can thanks to the red mail.
The strongest of the sodas.
Share a Coke with Aghanim 2.
Coca-Cola's good. There's some regional sodas out there that are fantastic. Ski and L81. If you're ever in Kentucky, you should look those up and try those out. KillerApp is going ahead and entering Misery Mire for the first time. He knows that he does not need to check out the left side of Mire. He just needs to find that big key. and he can make his way down to Vidi. Unfortunately, he took a hit right before entering Mire, so he did not have full health for the Wizrobe Tangular room. Sword Beams really helps that room go super fast.
Yeah, when you see someone trying to tear through that room, there are a number of options. Sword Beams are nice. Sometimes you'll even see really advanced timing with the Fire Rod by some runners. Very amazing what people do to get through that room quickly.
And Mclagging, using sword spin strats on Vidi, goes down like a sack of oranges. And that is Mclagging's 5th crystal.
Yep, so with that, at this point, they'll basically just be retreading territory the other covered. And it'll be a race up GT. KillerApp finally getting the Mire Big Key, and we'll be able to head on to the back half of the dungeon now.
So unfortunately, if I remember right, Mclagging will have to go through the right side of Eastern to get that big key. Normally, if you find the big key early, you can go ahead and skip that, especially if you're in go mode. But fortunately, that's going to be about an extra minute for him.
It's going to be fairly interesting to see if GT routing ends up coming into play here in terms of who ends up taking the lead. And with Silver Arrows, victory is going to go down nice and easy for KillerApp as well. Just shooting one after the other, not have to even deal with one lightning cycle.
Yeah, it turns out the weakness of eyeballs is something sharp going directly into them. Who would have thought?
I gotta give them points for realism there.
I mean, yes, that is the most realistic thing in this game. KillerApp immediately pulls out his flute, and he's got 7 crystals. That means it is time to start a guessing game. There are 22 possible locations in Ganis Tower where the big key could possibly be. Get your big key guess in 1 through 22. If you are a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming channels or have donated 250 bits, if you are the winner, you can earn a chance to join our leaderboard. GTG, where do you think this is going to be?
Now that's a tough one. I'm going to go halfway nice. I'm going to say bottom left chest and the randomizer room.
I'm going to say top left in Stealthos room. I think that'll be chest number 4 or 5, depending on what order they open them in.
All right, so in any case, we're both betting on left side, that's for sure. So if it shows up in tile room, that's not our fault this time.
Hey, Blaine's not in this game. It's not going to show up in tile room.
And now we are seeing this last inverted difference of just taking the crystals to where Aga 1 would normally be, not even a barrier in the way, and the animation's shorter because there are no stairs to appear.
And guesses are in, and we're going to be checking out the right side here first, these 2 little hope chests. Chest number 1, we get a piece of heart. Chest number 2, we get a red rupee, meaning we are not going to be seeing the rest of GT here.
Yeah, no small keys, so can't even go right. Not on the table.
I mean, we'll see the rest of GT, not the rest of the right side. Big heart piece there on the torch, so that is chest number 3. Chest number 4, Magic Cape. Chest number 5, Small Key. There went my guess.
And it ended up being exactly chest number 5 like you predicted, though. Just looks like another small key in that last chest in the room.
6 and 7, not giving us much.
Number 8 coming up in the firebar room. Just 10 arrows, but always nice to have a few extra arrows in GT. And I'm seeing Mclagging heading down into the pod basement. Does have the small key, so didn't have that little hiccup there.
Chest number 9, Fire Snake Room. Let's see what it contains. And that is another piece of heart, so we're heading into Rando Room.
My Rando Room bottom left guess. I'm looking forward to finding out about that.
Chest number 10, 10 arrows, 11 the compass, 12 20 rupees, and 13 is 5 rupees.
So it looks like we didn't make the correct pick this time. So now it's up to see who's going to win in the chat.
Chest number 14 is going to be Bob's chest. Neat little skip you can do if you have the boots. You can just bonk across that right there. You have this glitched anti-fairy that comes from not taking the item on the torch. And KillerApp just murders him in cold blood. Chest number 14, not too much.
Mclagging not too far behind here, going to be heading up GT soon, and we're about to find out the big keys behind the ice on us. Just 10 arrows. There it is.
KillerApp checks that last chest just for posterity's sake, and if I'm right, that is chest 14. I'll have to do some math real quick. Raspberry Floof opening and doing it for us. Chest number 16.
Raspberry Floof saving us a little bit of time with those counting skills. Much appreciated. Showing very nice silver arrow strats for those 2 mimic rooms. Gets through them very quickly.
And unfortunately, Mclagging can't even do full right side, not getting a key in that first stream. He can do Dark Magician if he wants to take this key from the hammer room, but that is not going to be the case. KillerApp, however, showing us how a gauntlet is done. Taking out the red Stalfos very, very quickly onto the blue Zezik room.
Despite the blues not cooperating there, just gets them one after the other. Very quick rooms.
Red Zazik room being just a piece of cake. Stalfos not playing nicely with his movement for that silver arrow, but KillerApp making good use of that icy floor to zoom around there. And we're on to Lambo 2.
Now that was a really good move by KillerApp there. Missed that second shot, but instead of trying to shoot the second one again, just takes the free shot on the one to the south and commits to that second cycle, but gets it down in 2.
That's when you can tell somebody's like just they're being calm while they're playing. KillerApp's probably knows that Mclagging's not done, and he is in GT, so you know he's probably got nerves going right now. But the level of just professionalism to make that Lambo play shows you how good he is. Ooh, KillerApp. Don't fall off that many times, buddy.
Still makes it through okay, and now doesn't have to worry about the despawn at all. It's all calculated, right?
This is always a terrifying room for me. I keep thinking that top right bubble is going to come at me when I'm lighting the top 2 chests or torches, and I always think that it's just going to keep going instead of turning.
That room can definitely be a little intimidating to get used to. And now this room, not too intimidating. Plenty of safeties here to grab, and this is going to ensure KillerApp is well equipped to go into Ganon.
He's got full hearts, clear magic, football forever. Is that the way that it goes? Oh, but he does fall to Moldorm.
Moldorm being a little bit on the rude side today. Meanwhile, Mclagging looks to be finally getting that GT big key and is heading up the tower, so they're about a climb behind. And just in case of the golden sword, KillerApp opens that final chest, finds a bottle. Nothing too useful, unfortunately.
Good conveyor belt bumper spike mini helmet sword room, ice room by KillerApp.
That sounded like a triple to me. Very nice.
That was an impressive double.
That was pretty much a perfect doggo fight. With the blue ball on the second cycle, there was no way to get a 2 cycle, so that was just spot on perfect. Now, I'd like to question here why Ganon thinks going into the entrance room of Hyrule Castle is going to help.
Good positioning for KillerApp here.
Now, unfortunately, it doesn't quite land the 1 cycle, but this is going to be a 2 cycle at worst.
And if I knew that the hookshot granted you partial invisibility as a kid, this fight would have been much easier for me when I was 10.
Yeah, fortunately, KillerApp knows that now and takes handy advantage of it. We'll be finishing up Ganon here in just a moment. And that looks like the final hit about to go through.
The big pig, Boss Hog, is down. KillerApp with 3.5 hearts left raises the tempered sword. And as long as he climbs these stairs, he is good to go.
Go ahead and get those GGs in chat. That is a win for KillerApp23.
And Mclagging not too far behind, finishing up Moldorm 2.
Mclagging also getting that triple at the start. Doesn't quite secure the double, but might be able to land this in 3 cycles anyway. Four cycles, but still a very nice and fast fight with that initial triple.
And as Mclagging heads to Ganon, we are joined here by KillerApp23. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're seeing here on your screen right now that mushroom that you got there at the end of the game would have been your butter sword. How do you feel about that? How do you feel about that seed in general?
I actually liked it. I read the seed well early on. Getting the early 300 rupees and the flippers and the lamp, I was like, well, I think Pod's in play right now. So I decided to take that play instead of diving into to Thieves Town, which I couldn't complete because I didn't have a weapon.
Yeah, we noticed that as the run went on and more and more sparse checks were what were left. You never went into Thieves Town just committing to that play to leave it behind. Were you starting to feel nervous about that at any point?
Yeah, especially late after I did, I think, Desert Palace for the Green Pennant, and that and Eastern Palace turned out to be nothing. I figured I was done for at that point.
Yeah, interestingly enough, Mclagging also did just a few of the chests in Thieves Town, but wasn't able to full clear it at the time. So we were starting to wonder if it would be Blind, but Blind just dropped a piece of heart.
Oh, okay.
Don't want to interrupt this, but Mclagging has just finished. Got a triple on Gannon on that last his last shot, and he is finishing with a time of around 154.52. So yeah, I think what won it for you was that initial dive into Hyrule Castle. Actually, you got your Master Sword pretty early compared to Mclagging.
Oh,
Mclagging went
okay.
almost over an hour swordless.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah, I just figured to route all my light world overworld in quickly because I had early access to all of it with the hammer and gloves.
And that ended up being a very good choice. That risk of potentially losing a minute or so, that pretty much gave you a huge advantage for quite a while. Were there any other major parts in your route where you were feeling a little uncertain, or where you felt like there was a tough call?
No. There was a long stretch where I didn't get anything. I did all of Light and the rest of the Dark World, Death Mountain, and Turtle Rock, which had absolutely nothing. Which I was surprised. I thought I'd have something having that access early on. Then
Yes,
Ice Palace had nothing. I was getting really worried that Thieves Town had what I needed.
We are now joined by Mclagging. GG on that sub 2 hours for both racers.
Yeah, both of you.
Hey, GG
did an
guys.
excellent show.
GG.
So who picked this?
I did, unfortunately.
So had both of you done a decent amount of practice with Inverted before this?
I've only played a couple seeds, but they've been seeds where you really get a feel for the inverted mode, where you had to do a lot of the strange nuances, like taking the mirror to desert to get to the mire area for the flute and stuff. And I think that was enough practice where I pretty much knew what I was doing.
Yeah, Inverted Mode is still new enough that we see racers still making just weird little things. I think KillerApp, you went to do Thieves Tomb or King's Tomb.
King's Tomb. Yeah. I forgot I had to go into the light world first.
And we were talking earlier about T-Rock, and then Inverted just changes T-Rock around completely.
Mm-hmm.
Mclagging, how do you feel about that seed?
I like this seed. It was a lot of fun going through. Just finding that cane was the biggest pain until I finally found. I was like, well, that's not a great feeling right now.
In particular, how did that desert hint make you feel?
I was not happy. It's like, well, that's a great hint after I just full cleared the front of Mire. Thanks.
Oh no.
Yeah, you both went totally opposite orders on those two dungeons, so KillerApp got the better of that, unfortunately for you, but fortunately for them. So I asked KillerApp this, I'll ask you as well, Mclagging. How did you feel about that, the blind and the Thieves Town big chest just kind of hanging there for a long time?
It was weighing on my mind for a long time, and I ended up going to Thieves Town before Skullwoods, but there's just 10 arrows in there, then Blind had nothing too. It's like, huh. It's like I could have completely skipped all of Thieves Town and it would have been fine.
That's what I ended up doing early on, and I was really worried that had costed me the race because something might have been there early that I missed. Holding off, I guess, helps. So.
Yeah, differences in decisions aside, both of you just had excellent execution overall this race. Even with the sword differences, the difference in the final times being almost 3 minutes, despite different dungeon dives. So it was actually very exciting to watch and speculate as to who was going to come out on top.
Yeah, that's one of the really cool things about Randomizer is that at times there are times where you can watch a race and be like, oh, well, this person is 100% ahead by a decent amount. And then in a race like this, it goes back and forth like, oh, man, I don't really know who is ahead. And it really just came down to that GT. And essentially, it pretty much came down to who had swords earlier. And that went KillerApp's way.
So, are there any other thoughts either of you wish to share about your performance or the seed itself?
Just I had fun, and good luck to Mclagging the rest of the way. I'm not sure what I'm gonna have for my decision for our race, but
I look forward to it, and good luck to you and our group of death that we have here.
yeah, I was
This was
debating learning swordless because of Andy, so I'm gonna have to take some time to get used to that.
Yeah,
I think that's what he's gonna pick most of the time.
I went and looked up the challenge just to see, like, oh, who is in this group? I'm like, oh, I feel for you guys.
Yeah, that's quite the intense group there.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I look forward to our next matches and guys and tracking and restream. This was a pretty fun race.
Yeah, what Blaine said in our race, if you advance, you feel really good. If not, you still feel good because you went against the top competition in your group. So it's fun all the way around.
As I said, I want to thank you guys both for putting on this show for us. I want to say to everybody in chat, go ahead and give both of these racers a follow. Put on a good show, and they're two of the top tier racers in this tournament. That said, GGG, do you have anything you would like to say before we sign off?
I think I more or less covered it. It was an excellent race, and I had a lot of fun. And I look forward to eventually finding out where your next game leads. And I wish you both a lot of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching, and hope you all have a great night. Cheers.
All right. Thank you all. Signing out.